Oh, you know what else? Will you be able to share screen to show? I forgot. All right, everybody.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hi. Evening. Good evening. Let's take it.
Yeah, I'll show you. I now know what the magic button is. Peace and blessings, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'm gonna get yourself started. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the January 13th, 2025 meeting of the Human Services Committee. My name is Isaac Scott and I'm the chair. This meeting is called to order at 6:08 p.m. Okay. Right. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon. You will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now do roll call. Committee members, just respond by answering present when you hear your name.
Mark Reversky.
Present.
Marcel Gambino. Present. Rosa Diaz. Present. Arnie Foster Hernandez.
Present.
Jennifer Meyer. Valerie Ponte. Asher Rodriguez. Isaac Scott.
Yes, I'm here, present.
Robert Strazier.
Present.
And Alida Chichibu. You have a form.
Thank you. So the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed before the meeting. If there are no objections to the agenda, we will move forward with it as it is. Committee members, are there any objections to the agenda?
No.
All right, seeing no objections, we will move forward with the agenda. The minutes for November, if I'm correct, or did we just?
October, November, yeah.
So October, November minutes are available. They have been sent out. If there are no objections to the November minutes, which was the ones you just received, the December minutes have not been completed yet. If there are no objections to the minutes for November, we will adopt the minutes from the November meeting. Okay, so seeing no objections, we'll move forward with that adoption. All right, we can move into our first. We'll start with our announcements. We have some announcements here, and then we'll take some announcements from the floor. If you're already presenting, you don't need to, this is like random announcements kind of thing. If people just have community events they want to share with us or things like that. So I'll pass it over to Rosa.
Yes, thank you, Isaac. We have two announcements. One of them is Men Let's Talk, Wednesday, January 15, 2015, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is to focus on mental well-being and sexual well-being. The topic for this year is New Year, New You, Finance and Mental Health. You are not alone. And for that, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Mike Johnson at 212-633-0800 with the extension 1296 or MICJOHNSON at institute spelled out.org. And the next announcement is with the East Harlem Community Partnership and Synergia, the Housing Help Hub that is happening on January 17, 2025 from 12 to 2 p.m. at 71 East 111th Street on the second floor between Madison and Park Avenue. This is in support of if you having any if you're facing eviction, if you have any NYCHA question, if you're looking for a home or struggling with rent or utilities and any other type of New York City rent freeze, please, you can reach out to us at info.ehcp@gmail.com with any questions, any concerns. Let us know how we can best support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosa. So yes, both of those events can be, if you want to know any more information on there, you can email the office, you can email Marlene or myself, and we can, send you over the information for either event. Are there any other announcements from any committee members? Okay, are there any announcements from anyone in the virtual space? Don't think I see any hands. So thank you all. So we'll move on into our informational updates. The first set of updates will be from the Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. And I do believe we have Pauline Ferrante on. Good evening,
Hi.
Pauline.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. The only update I have for tonight is that flu is still on the rise, and also cases of neurovirus as well. So we do encourage everyone to continue with all of the precautions laid out during COVID, which is to stay home if you're not feeling well, wash your hands frequently, and if you can't have access to soap and water, to use hand sanitizer. And really, the most important thing is just to be mindful of how you're feeling and to get tested if you're not feeling well, just so you'll know sort of what your diagnosis is, but also to stay home, especially if you have kids in school, or if you're in a congregate setting, or if you know someone in a congregate setting, since it is pretty contagious. So those are my updates, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Department of Health and Mental Hygiene? Yes, those.
Yes, are you giving any type of presentation or training for the community or schools?
So our school nurses, our Office of School Health works very closely with school nurses to make sure that they have this information. And also the state had set out sort of an advisory for school nurses to send home to families, alerting them of the rise in neurovirus cases and also flu. I mean, we understand that it's a hardship for a lot of parents who are working parents and can't necessarily always find the childcare that they need for their school-age children, but it's really critical that, if your child is not feeling well or presenting with active symptoms, that they stay home from school. In terms of any presentations, we don't have any specific ones, but if you would like me to give a presentation to the community, I'm happy to schedule something.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. We'll be in touch about that. Okay, so next set of updates will be also from DOHMH, but from the Center for Health and Equity and Community Wellness, Cheyenne Murillo. Cheyenne.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As Isaac said, my name is Cheyenne. Thank you for allowing me the space to speak tonight. I just have maybe 2 updates. Tomorrow, we're having a on-site service pop-up fair where we'll be providing services through our partners, including legal support, food access support, mental health services for children and adults. And the idea is just to receive services on-site and kind of be able to come to the Action Center where we're based and receive multiple services at once. And then also alongside the fair, we're going to be doing a Know Your Rights training, a Know Your Rights immigration training, specifically in French. And that's provided by our partner NILAG. So that Know Your Rights training, super pertinent as we're, entering a new administration. And there are plans to do a Know Your Rights training in Spanish as well. So that'll be coming up probably next month or 2. So that's all tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Action Center on 115th on Lexington. And then my second update would be that we still have COVID test kits available. So if you know of any community members or organizations that may need test kits, we do community distributions at our East EHASE site on 110 in between Lexington and 3rd every week. So they can just come in and we'll provide them with test kits, also fentanyl test strips and this stuff like that, and masks as well. But if you need more of a bulk amount of test kits, we're able to do that as well. We can give up to like 100, it's maybe more of test kits and masks as well at a higher volume. So if you need any of those materials, please let me know. It's open to everyone. And I think those are my only 2 updates for tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Cheyenne, so much. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes, please, Robin.
Hi, Cheyenne. Thank you so much. If we want to come and get a bulk quantity of the COVID test, we have to call somebody in advance or just show up?
That's a really great question. I'll put my email in the chat. The best method to receive the bulk test kits is just to email me and then we'll set up an appointment on, I'm pretty flexible, but yeah, so just email me and then we can set that up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Cheyenne, the workshop on Know Your Rights, by any chance, are there attorneys or paralegals on site that are able to help people who have deportations scheduled or no?
To have their paperwork completed or for other services?
Well, I'm talking about like deportations and how to do, motions to appeal so the judge can rehear their case.
That's a great question. So our partner NILAG is also based in the Action Center, and they are able to, it's a volunteer group and they're not attorneys, but what they're able to do is they're able to hear community members and any kind of legal issue they're having, immigration, housing, whatever legal issue it might be. And if those volunteers are not able to answer the question or provide the correct resource, then they refer them to an attorney at NILAG. And from there, they're paired to that attorney and the attorney will help them and support them in whatever legal issue they're facing. At this time though, for the fairs, we don't have the capacity to complete the asylum applications or reapplications on site, but NILAG is a great alternative. Also, East Harlem Community, you know East Harlem Community Partnership. They have a great partnership as well with, I forget the name, but what I'm saying is that if we're not able to support, we can find someone who is able to support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm also going to reach out for the church regarding the mask and the COVID test as well.
Thank you.
Thank you again. All right. Are there any questions in the virtual space? Okay, so thank you again, Cheyenne. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone.
All right, so our next set of updates is from East Harlem COAD. Do we have anyone on from the COAD? I have to follow up with them. Okay, cool. So we'll just transition on over to CCHP. I see Shannon is on. Happy New Year, Shannon.
Happy New Year. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, I have one update from CCHP, and we are now part of a new program that New York State is rolling out, the Social Care Networks program for those who have Medicaid. And prior to this program, CCHP, we couldn't really do a lot of navigation services for things like housing or nutrition or things like that. But now, under this new program, we would now be able to provide those navigation services, it's both screening and navigation services to community members, specifically those all over Manhattan, actually, Brooklyn and Queens. So those who are under Medicaid, they would be screened now for like enhanced certain services that we weren't be able to do before. So for example, nutrition services, housing, including, home accessibility, home mediation, and also transportation as well. We were able to help with that. And yeah, So we haven't started yet. Our navigators are still currently being trained, but by February we'll be able to roll this out. Um, so yes, if anyone has any questions or want any more further information about what CCHP is doing along with the rest of the state, um, you can leave your information and I can be able to send more information to you.
Thank you, Shannon. Are there any questions for CCHP? No questions in the room? Any questions in the virtual space? I do not see any hands. Okay, perfect. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate you. Okay, so that takes us into our one and only presentation for today. So this is an informational presentation regarding New York County Defender Services, so treatment, not jail. I'm not sure, I don't see names here. Who do we have on today?
You could just speak, you're up.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Destiny and Casey.
Oh, hey Destiny. So you guys can, yes, you guys can take the floor. You have, a total of 15 minutes for your presentation. If you could keep, 10 minutes for the slides or whatever you're gonna, present to us. And then allow at least 5 minutes for us to just, ask some questions. And I think that's cool. But yes, please introduce yourselves and the floor is yours.
All right, I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. Uh-oh. Oh no, I hope I'm not having technical difficulties. Let me see.
Would be me.
Okay, I got it. Let's see.
Hey, were you guys at the event last month? That we had?
I was in the full board meeting, and that's how I heard about you guys.
Um,
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
wasn't in the event. I heard about the event through the full board meeting.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna make sure y'all there next year.
All right. So a brief introduction. I'm Destiny Reyes. I'm with NYCDS. I'm currently a community engagement intern. Casey, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
My name is Casey Del Porto, and my title is Senior Policy Attorney at NYCDS. And NYCDS, for those who don't know, is New York County Defender Services. We are a public defender office that represents people who are accused of crimes that are arrested in Manhattan. So we work exclusively in Manhattan. And we are the leading champions of the Treatment Not Jail Act, which Destiny will explain.
Yes. So treatment not jail. Behind is just a recent photo from last year when they went to Albany. All right. So our current landscape, New York's historic criminalization of mental health has fueled a spiraling mental health crisis. New York's historic criminalizing of substance use disorder has led to lethal overdose crisis. Both disproportionately impact people of color. Racism at every level of the criminal legal system experience significant language barriers. Most harm experience in treatment settings, less insured, least availability of treatments in their geographic community. 1 in 5 New Yorkers has a mental health diagnosis every year, and less than 20% of those incarcerated receive mental health services.
So this just shows that for decades, we have been funneling people with serious mental health issues and substance use issues into our jails and prisons and expected them to just get better on their own. Obviously, this has been a disastrous failure. Not only does jail not make people better, but it leaves them worse off. And then people who emerge from jail and prison are more likely than those who never went to jail at all to become rearrested, and just the cycle continues. So our campaign really seeks to break that cycle, break that revolving door, and off-ramp people from the criminal legal system when people become arrested due to underlying mental health and substance use issues. The way that we do this is through treatment courts. Treatment courts are sometimes called diversion, sometimes called problem-solving courts, specialized courts. They go by many different names, but at the end of the day, they seek to divert people from jail and prison, and avoid a criminal conviction, and definitely avoid any incarceratory sentence by allowing them to resolve their case by completing treatment that addresses their root causes. So basically, rather than just defaulting to our traditional model, which serves almost no one, treatment courts say, hey, let's take a look at this person and figure out what's going on, what caused them to commit this alleged offense. Once we identify the root causes, if it's a mental health or substance use issue, we say, hey, we can treat this. This is a treatable issue. And what are the services? What is the treatment plan that we need to put in place to help this person recover and heal, and ultimately not continue to commit crimes or become arrested. Oh, can you go back for a second, Destiny? Okay, so it's a very successful model. New York has been experimenting with treatment courts for decades. It started with drug courts, which I'll get to in a second. But since then, we've experimented with mental health courts. We have veterans courts, which focus specifically on veterans, and other many courts that focus on different constituencies. Of those that have gone into operation over the last few decades, the results have been incredible. They have cut rearrest rates. They showed a cut rearrest rates on average by 50%. They also are great for communities. They're also reported to grow employment rates in their local jurisdictions by over 50% over 10 years. They're also extremely cost effective. It's a much better investment. So the Office of Court Administration, the judiciary that runs many of these courts, estimate that basically that New York State receives a 2-to-1 return on investment. But when you're accounting for collateral impacts, like, the child, the impact on children and the communities that are left behind, or the impact on unemployment, et cetera, healthcare, the return on investment is more like 10-to-1. And as I mentioned earlier, and I'll get to in a second, we did do this already with drug courts. We established drug courts in 2009, and almost immediately we started seeing huge windfalls of cost savings, $1 million a month in the early years of drug courts. Next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, we've already have a pretty robust experience and system in operation for drug courts. In 2009, after experimenting for many years with drug courts across the state, our state legislature passed drug law reform, which repealed the Rockefeller drug sentencing laws and also created drug courts. It required every single county in New York State to establish these courts, and it created a whole section of the statute. So it really became part of the system, and in a uniform way. Every single county was doing it, and got special funding for it, as opposed to this ad hoc nature. Thousands of people have successfully graduated from drug courts since in the last 15 years, since they went into effect. But there's a lot of room for improvement, First, it's very narrow who can get access to it. You just pretty much have to be like a Goldilocks situation. So first, the most important criteria for admission is what you're charged with currently and what your criminal history is. And that wipes out like 80% of people who really need access to drug court. And even then, they also exclude people who have prominent mental health diagnoses, even though substance use disorder is in and of itself a mental health diagnosis. And there's a huge overlap between other mental health diagnoses and substance use disorder. Drug courts, the statute says this is exclusively for substance use. We do not know how to handle mental health. If you have a diagnosis that needs any kind of mental health treatment, we're not equipped to handle it. You have to look elsewhere. So it excludes a lot of people that otherwise really need and could benefit from these opportunities. It's also, the model is really outdated. It was passed under a Republican legislature, so it was always kind of a difficult model to implement, and it's rooted largely in this idea of abstinence only, like very punitive, very coercive, and very heavy-handed. And so, unsurprisingly, perhaps, not many people succeed. It's actually, the graduation rates are very disappointing. They stopped reporting on the graduation rates like 10 years ago, but at that point, the failure rate was about half. And probably because of a combination of all of these things, the participation rates, meaning the people who actually want to seek admission into these courts, has just plummeted over the last 10 years. There's no corresponding mental health court. So there, as I mentioned, people who have mental health diagnoses are excluded from drug courts, but there's nothing to address people with mental health diagnoses at all. But in the absence of this glaring void, a lot of jurisdictions, including Manhattan, have taken it upon themselves to create their own, just without any funding, without any mandate. They just say, like, we cannot just keep funneling people into jail and prison because we don't have a solution. So they've created their own, and many of the mental health courts across the state that have cropped up are doing exceptionally well, but very few people actually get access to them. So Brooklyn Mental Health Court, Manhattan Misdemeanor Mental Health Court is doing incredibly well, but if you go and sit in and watch, the first thing that anybody will say, and they say it over and over again, is we are too short-staffed to really perform to the best of our potential right now. So, Destiny.
So as far as the solution, there is treatment, not jail.
So we are a state campaign to basically improve and modernize the statute that was passed way back in 2009 to create drug courts, that would create one house for mental health, drug courts, treatment courts, all of these specialty courts, that would also notably expand access. So rather than being siloed based on if you're have a substance use issue or mental health issue, instead we would create an umbrella term called qualifying diagnosis, which would allow anybody who has a serious mental illness or a substance use disorder or substance-induced disorder to apply, and then they would be treated holistically. Next slide. In addition, we want to move away from eligibility tied to what somebody is formally charged with, or what their criminal history is, and instead allow judges to make decisions on a case-by-case basis, considering all of the circumstances, and including what a licensed clinician's assessment of the situation is. So the eligibility would be, do you have this qualifying diagnosis? Did it contribute to the underlying charges? Can it be treated in the community? Is jail and prison is not necessary for the protection of the public. So judges would still be able to make a determination about who is appropriate, but it would no longer be based on categorically based on what somebody is charged with. And we also want to take the opportunity to update the model. As I mentioned, the drug court model is not living up to its potential, to put it nicely. So we want to take this opportunity to build in a lot more due process protections for people who are in these courts, and make it clear that clinicians should really lead when it comes to making healthcare decisions, not judges, not attorneys. And so we write into the statute a lot about treatment planning, who gets to make decisions around treatment planning, who gets to make decisions about prescription medications. You'd be surprised at how the kinds of decisions that judges make in drug courts right now. And we want to make sure that peers are also incorporated. These are people with lived experience, either recovering from a mental health or living with mental health issues or substance use issues, or who has survived the criminal legal system themselves. Yeah.
So TNJ saves money. Projected impact of TNJ study shows that even using a 52% graduation rate, which is an extremely conservative estimate, over a 5-year period, TNJ will save New York $94 million in prison cost and $908 million in jail cost. So we join you to join our coalition calls every other Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Zoom. Call your legislator. Come to our next advocacy day on January 21st, 2025. This is our flyer. You can just RSVP. If needed, transportation is provided, and we welcome you to join us this month in Albany. And that would be it. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome.
So first, I want to, can you guys hear me? Sorry. Thank you, Destiny and Cassie.
Casey, yeah.
Casey, sorry. Thank you guys first, just for the work that you're doing. Very admirable. Really appreciate it. Can I just ask some questions just to make sure I have my mind wrapped around it correctly? So do we have any drug courts in Manhattan right now?
We do.
Where are they?
So it's at 100 Center Street.
Okay, so it's just one part of it's like one part, like one court part?
Yes. Yeah. So there's a drug court in every single county, and that's because of the law that was passed in 2009.
Right.
Mental health courts are not, there's no statute requiring a mental health court. And so that's sort of where things fall apart. Yeah. But Manhattan does have a mental health court. It actually has two, one for misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies, and one for other felonies.
Right. So part of your work in Albany is to make it law like it is for the drug, and then update all of that, because it's all up, well, the mental health is not outdated because it doesn't exist, but
Yes.
the drug or update would, yeah, okay.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, great. Because I was listening to you critique it so much, I was like, well, what do they want us to do? So, but I think, yes, it sounds like, yeah, you said at the end, we can join the work you all are already doing, but I would love it if you circle back with, let's stay in conversation, because I would love to know more specifically how, the community board could help in this specifically, because this is an issue that we're dealing with in our community, and we, very much, most of us, forgive me if I'm speaking for anyone, you can definitely clarify, but I'm sure we don't want to just be throwing people in prison. We want to see that there are different options for folks, so this does, this seems like, the right direction, so advocacy in this direction seems like it's moving towards the goals of this committee, so I would love to speak with you all more in depth about, what that looks like, and I would love to just know more about how the progress you've made so far, what still needs to happen in order for it to, be successful and stuff like that. So just organize the questions.
Yeah, I would love to as well. I'm happy to follow up later and meet separately because there's a lot happening in this campaign. And I should say that, as you all know, it's coming at an important time. We're sort of at an inflection point in our city about how we deal with mental health. And the one thing everybody can agree on, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, is that the status quo is not working, and it's not making our communities any safer, and it's not humane, and it's really, it's beneath the dignity of this great city that we let this happen.
Yes, so we have a question here from a committee member.
Yeah, I actually have two. The first is just thank you again for the effort and educating us because I didn't know anything about this. At least, I guess it's not yet a law, but you want to make it into a law.
Yeah.
First thing is you referred to a success rate and a graduation rate, which I
Mm.
assume are the same. But what does that mean? Does that mean people who don't get arrested again for a crime? I didn't understand it as a course, so I'm not sure what success and or graduation means in this context.
So graduation means that you have completed the program, which is a pretty intensive, long-term program. Everybody's treatment plan is a little bit different, but usually it entails 12 to 18 months of treatment and connection to services and engagement with the courts. Beyond that, what is success? It's many people consider it a success if there's a drop in recidivism rates in the 5 years after graduation. And so that's the benchmark that most people use when they're gauging success, is basically like, have we successfully off-ramped this person from this cycle? But I don't know, I mean, success, what does that mean? It's a really individual.
I was just referencing, I think you actually used failure rate is what you mentioned.
Oh,
2000.
failure, yes, failure
I don't know,
meaning,
I translated to success because if there's failure, there must be success. But what that means something different?
oh, yeah, okay, so failure specifically means that the person was terminated from the program and in all likelihood, it was sentenced to jail or prison.
Okay. All right, so my next question is, the current law would not allow for someone who, let's say, was a drunk driver and killed somebody, would not allow them to enter this law, would not be covered by the drug court under this law, is that correct?
That's correct, and beyond that, any DWI offense is excluded,
But in the law that you're
even
talking
if
about,
there's no homicide, yeah.
but you're talking about release, advocating for the release of that exclusion. Not necessarily just
Right,
that.
we just think that,
Just trying to
we
get a
just,
sense of what it is you're looking
yeah,
at.
that's right. We want to move towards an individual assessment because every case, the charges never tell the whole story. And every case is a little bit different and everyone is coming to, they're coming to court, they're coming into this program and applying to be admitted from a different point in their life. And so we just see, I mean, I'm a practitioner, I've, worked in these courts for over a decade, and I just see so many people that are excluded for really technical reasons, like they're charged with a DUI, or they're charged with one of these offenses that just for some reason is not included. There's literally a list of offenses that you have to be charged with in order to be eligible. And so we want to see judges have more discretion in looking at the case holistically and making a call.
Thank you.
I have maybe two questions or so. How does a person apply, and what if they speak another language other than English? And is there any age eligibility or just what you just mentioned in the presentation? And lastly, do you have any current data? Because I believe 2015, is there anything like 2020 data probably or no?
So I'll answer the last question first. There's no data because the judiciary doesn't keep data. It's not required. And so they don't keep very reliable data about their program. And they also stopped cooperating with outside agencies that were trying to analyze the program of drug courts. They have kept data for their mental health courts, but not in any uniform way, just like each court has been monitoring on its own. Part of our bill also includes a reporting requirement because we think that that's critical. And it's also would be really useful to compare county to county, any variations. Like if some county's doing really well, then we could figure out what they're doing right. If somebody is underperforming we can go and look at what they're doing and might maybe see where there's room for improvement. But data is a really great, there should be a trove of data and there's just not, and that it's really inexcusable. So we want to see some more accurate reporting on how these courts are performing. In terms of language barriers, yes, they do make a language accommodations, although it's always a little bit difficult to find a treatment provider outside of Spanish that can deliver the services the person needs. But usually they try to make a exhaustive search to try to find a treatment provider and the services. But related to the language, I will say that the drug courts currently exclude almost every non-citizen because of the way that it's set up. They're the people who enter the courts are required to plead guilty to the top charge at the very first outset before they even begin treatment, with the understanding that if they complete the program, then that plea will be vacated. That doesn't work for non-citizens because of their immigration status. They can't plead guilty to almost anything. So it's very rare for any non-citizen to actually participate in any drug court in New York State. Our model would change that. We would move to what we consider what's called a pre-plea model. So it's treatment first, like work on fixing the problem and promoting healing, and then we can handle the case later. Yeah. And then you had another question that I'm blanking on, or did that cover it?
Yes. Yes, age eligibility.
Oh, age eligibility. No, there's no exclusions based on age currently or in our bill, although if the person is under 18, they would probably be referred to family court just because of the, I don't know how familiar you are with the raise the age. Yeah.
Thank you.
Valerie and then Marcel.
Good evening, Valerie Ponte here. I worked at the Rikers briefly as a caseworker before I retired. And I know that for the Brad H group and inmates do not get a chance to see a doctor or anyone that can help them unless the correction officers allow it. Whatever program is available to them. And there are many programs that exist at Rikers, but they have to get past the correction officers who do not treat them well. I think that whoever is trying to do any type of program there should start with who's in charge of Rikers. That's the big deal. You say you've been doing this for 10 years and you wrote up your proposal, the city probably give you money to have your proposal, blah, blah, blah. Personal opinion, you've done nothing. They have a high school at Rikers. Teenagers are there. They can't even go to class unless the correction officers say so. That's the problem at Rikers, the correction officers. And to work there at the Brad H group, the Department of Health, and you have Department of Health in New York, has to approve us as caseworkers, even go in there. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Oh,
I'm just telling you.
I have as
If
well.
it's up to you, hold on, I'm gonna say no.
Oh, I am in complete agreement with you. Destiny will,
I
Destiny.
will vouch, yeah, we both been as well.
We spend half of my week, probably half of every work week on trying to improve conditions and the treatment of our clients at Rikers Island. It is horrific. It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent the way that they are treated at Rikers Island. They're affirmatively denied the mental health care, even when they have prescription drugs. It's not even, they get them here and there, not even reliably delivered to them. It's just, I couldn't agree more. And, Brad H was a real landmark litigation, but really even that is not being followed. The discharge planning is scarce and woefully insufficient when it is provided. We have our own reentry team that tries to pick up the pieces when people are released, but it is just absolutely, it's completely unconscionable that this takes place in our city.
Question, just on the note of what, and for, when we think about the drug courts now, or even the work that you are like, the work you've written up, does it include folks being able to, does it also include people who are incarcerated at Rikers and having access to programming, or was it just to prevent people from going?
Oh, I
to
see.
Rikers?
So actually, no. So the program that we're proposing here doesn't, it would not all take place in the community. So the point of this is to take people out of pretrial detention at Rikers and place them in community-based care, community housing, so supportive housing or transitional housing, and then community-based services. So none of the programming that we're proposing here would be delivered on site at Rikers Island. Sorry, thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
The whole point of this is really to avoid the hellhole of Rikers Island.
My person, they come out, there's nothing for them.
Yes, and that's what they're trying to change. And you know, what is, so let me, and Marcel, once I stop talking, just jump right in. What she's saying is that, because most people have arrests already and certain arrests, they disqualify you from being able to get services when you need them. And that's what you're saying they should be able to get to on Rikers and have
When
access
they
to.
leave, sometimes they don't even have
But
an ID to get the medical benefits they're entitled to.
Yeah, so what they're trying to change is your ability to gain access.
I'm saying they have to start over there first before they get back out of.
So then you have to be on these coalition calls. We're gonna make
Yeah.
sure Ms. Valerie's on these coalition calls with y'all. Alright?
So,
What's up? Marcel,
Go ahead.
jump right in.
so, you may have, I think you touched on it briefly, but how are the individuals supported post-treatment exactly to prevent them from re-entry into the system? You can clarify that.
You mean once they graduate?
Correct.
Once they graduate from the program. So we don't, I mean, we try to do a discharge plan. So there is like, or we call it a graduation plan, so that they are not just like, okay, it's done, graduation, good luck. So every court does it a little bit differently, but they do try to like stay in touch and keep checking in to make sure that the person's on track. But at the same time, we want to at some point cut off we want to close the case and make sure that the sort of supervision of the court ends, because there's no need to keep someone entangled in the criminal legal system any longer than they have to be. So yeah.
Well, did you have another question?
No.
So, I'm sorry. I had it and I lost it. So I just wanted to clarify, just so folks know that, so someone gets arrested, perhaps they have a particular background, they qualify or don't qualify. If they qualify, they get into a program which is 12 to 18 months. What I was going to ask is generally, the treatment and the follow-up of the treatment is usually different based on the community-based organization that a person is mandated to, correct?
Yes. Oh, and I should clarify, sorry, that the program, I just mean the program like the court programming, but the person at that point is placed in treatment, community-based treatment, they're placed in housing, they're set up with a job. All of that continues. It's just that they no longer have to come back to court and meet with their case managers and their attorneys and the social workers that are staffing the court or the judge. You know, our goal, as we say, is to never see this person again. You know, we want them to be thriving in the community with everything that we've set up.
So thank you for saying that, because I think, so folks that, so we're the Human Services Committee, so people here are thinking, human services treatment. You guys are like from the defenders services, so you're thinking more court legal. So just wanted to
Yes.
make sure they understand what role you all are playing and not playing. You know what I mean? So no, thank you. Any other questions in the room? Yes, please.
So, Casey. So what I'm understanding is that it's just a preventative measure, right? So there's no, pretrial detention like Rikers. This is all preventative, like similar to the child welfare, system. In the state, you have for, prevention, then, well, ACF involvement and then prevention and then foster care. So you're trying to stop this person from going into any detention center at all. Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to see how Rikers is out of the conversation.
So we're trying to, if somebody is already in pretrial detention at Rikers, if they're admitted to a treatment court, they get out of Rikers. We discharge them and bring them out of Rikers.
Okay.
But also it is preventative, and that we're preventing a sentence of incarceration, either at Rikers or at an upstate prison.
Right, okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. I think also another way to think of it is also just to assist that individual better, especially if they need certain services that are not being provided at Rikers.
Cool. So we got Valerie and then Mark again.
Yeah, if I listened to say, didn't you say they had to have pleaded guilty? Participate?
Yeah, so currently in drug court, you have to plead guilty to participate, which is a big problem for many reasons. But number one, because it prevents people who are non-citizens from participating. Oh my God, I'm sorry, it's bedtime here. Got toddlers breaking into my room.
Mark and then I'll read it.
I'm gonna ask a question I'm sure is born out of my ignorance of the way the entire criminal justice system works in New York City. So forgive me for that, but I'm just a little confused. So if this act that you're trying to promote were to actually come to be law, someone gets arrested for a crime and they have a mental health issue. Who's deciding at what point in the actual determination of the person's guilt that they no longer have to go through the other court system and or jail detention system and just get routed to the drug treatment or the mental health court? It seems as if there's some kind of pre-decision being made before any actual evidence of a crime is actually being weighed by whatever authority does that to determine which path they go down. That just seems to be challenging to understand how that actually works.
It's initiated currently, and under our system, it would be initiated by the defense. So the defense attorney and working with their client would try to figure out if this person might be a good candidate for a treatment court, and then they would have a conversation with the client. Is this something you'd be willing to do? You'd be surprised at how many people just don't have an interest or need a little bit of coaxing or encouragement to try treatment.
Right.
And then you make an application, and then it's up to the judge who sits in that court part to make the determination about whether or not it's an appropriate case. So judges would make the admissions decision, although for complicated reasons that I probably shouldn't go into, for mental health courts, there's usually an added barrier that you have to get the DA to consent to it before you go to the judge, which is something else that we are really trying to fix in this legislation. We would prefer to just go straight to the judge for many reasons, but yeah.
Sure. Can I add a layer of clarity onto that for Mark? So Mark, you get arrested, you go to jail, the next morning you go to arraignment court, right? That's the first judge you see. That judge, you plead guilty or not guilty before that judge. At that point, they would send you home, whatever, well, depending on.
Or go to jail if bail is set.
You all go to jail at that point. but you would get another date to go before your actual court part. And at that court part is where they would be working with their client to make a petition to that judge and or that DA for these.
Right, but if the law now allows someone to plead not guilty, but still be routed to the
No,
treatment.
no, but hear me out.
Yes,
Okay.
and your criminal case, though, when, as part of being like admitted to the program, your criminal case would be on pause. You would agree to like waive speedy trial time, waive all discovery, waive everything
Okay, so the
altogether.
trial is basically stopped.
No, the trial is put on pause. You just, it's not on a trial track anymore. It's just sort of paused indefinitely until you either graduate from this treatment court or you don't, and then you would resume your criminal case.
And then the trial would resume after the treatment court.
Yeah, well, trial would resume, I mean, you would be put on back on the trial track, but 98% of cases take a plea, so.
Got it, okay, now I understand. That part was key, okay? So, Alina?
Thank you. My question was, you keep mentioning about the citizen, how about, local residents? Are they considered non-citizen also?
Legal permanent resident.
Yeah,
Legal permanent.
yeah.
Oh, lawful
Right.
permanent residents, yes, they're considered non-citizens, so yeah, even green card holders can't participate in these courts. Currently, under our model, they would be allowed to participate.
Any other questions? You guys are asking all the right questions, so.
How is the organization funded? How is your organization funded?
New York County Defender Services is funded by city funding and also state funding. So we're a public defender office. And so it's just a mix of county funding and state funding.
So you write a request for the funding, and on that request, you base your salaries according to what you believe should be paid, everyone on as part of the organization.
Yes, although this campaign would be funded separately. We have a whole separate funding fiscal impact.
Salaries are based on what you request, not what we say you should get, what you request. Yes or no?
Yes, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's not a problem, thank you, that's what I'm trying to say. Another program to take away rights from all people who are arrested for ridiculous things, or a little thing in their pocket or something.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's what our organization does. We represent people who are charged with crimes. It doesn't matter if the crime is, you know, something low level, like jumping the turnstile, or, you know, the most serious crime that you can imagine.
Can I just hold for 1 second? I want to make sure that you're clear on who, do you
They're
know?
taking people's rights away, they have to say guilty to be part of the program.
No, okay.
Oh.
No, see that, and there's a bit of, hold on, let me get this clear first of all. These are, okay, so these are lawyers, public defenders, so when you go to court, I don't got money, I get arrested, I don't have money, the state has to defend me. These are the people who defend me, somebody has to defend me, I don't have money. The courts defend me. This initiative is an initiative to increase and update access to drug court and mental health court in addition to the criminal courts that already exist. So hold on for a second. I just want to make sure you understand their role in work period, as you know, making the comments to them, just so that we're said, because I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect in what they're answering and what you're hearing and theirs. Yeah, so that's.
They say to be part of it, you have to say guilty.
Okay, no, that is a court, okay, thank you, that is not their requirement, that is a court, this is an issue you take up with the New York State, no, Val, no. The New York State law says, and this is what I know, because I had to go through this. In order to get into a program, you have to plead guilty. That is a court requirement. That's not their requirement. They don't make that decision. That is the court saying, if this is more of a prosecutorial court thing. If you want to get this privilege, you have to plead to the top count. That is not them. So that is the point I wanted to talk.
Well, that's the part that should be fighting to change.
They are, I think they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Simply said that one guy.
Did I get that right, y'all?
For 10 years, he's
Yes.
wanted to change.
Okay, cool. No, go ahead, I mean, please.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to know what is your position, maybe or your point of view when it comes to trafficking survivors, sex workers, knowing that they really are the center of, substance abuse and trauma and all this. Do you guys get, I don't know, do you get, maybe not signal, but do you get these cases right away? Do you have a specific program? How do you guys work with this population?
Yeah, great question. So we do work with trafficking survivors or people who've been exploited. They used to have specific court parts that were like drug courts, like like a treatment court that was specifically tailored for this population. Fortunately, we don't see many sex workers arrested anymore because of a change in law. There was a big decriminalization of prostitution. And in addition, just as a matter of practice, the NYPD has stopped. Actually, I shouldn't say that because the Vice Squad apparently is coming back online in the last few years. But for a while, they stopped making these arrests or stopped investing in the I don't know, the sting operations that were leading to these arrests. But that being said, just because there's a low volume doesn't mean that it's not an issue at all. And we still see some of these cases come through. They absolutely would be eligible for these courts. And in some jurisdictions they still have the like in Queens, they still have the human trafficking courts that they could go to alternatively.
Yeah, thank you for adding that because we are still not in full decrim right now. Even though there is a decrease, but it's not full decrease, so. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure you saw that if you know about this, you probably know what happened in Queens and Roosevelt Avenue and that whole really gross raid. So it is not gone, but yeah.
So I have a few hands in the virtual space. Let's let everyone in the virtual space speak, and then we can come back out here to folks in the room. Our niece. How you doing?
Hi, recovering. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm on regular painkillers, so I'm coherent. I'm on just more Tylenol today. But thanks for the presentation. Casey, I know we did a little bit of chat back and forth, but for the purpose of having it on record, some of the information that you have in your presentation, if I read it correctly, was this program or the court system has approximately 250,000 participants that are in it, but only a handful, like a few hundred, are admitted into this program. Is that what this information that I read correctly?
No, it's actually that there's about 275,000 people that are arrested in New York State every year. Adults that are arrested. So about 250,000 people arrested every year. Of those people, only 529 people a year get access to mental health courts.
And of that, how many do you think need access to it? And the reason why I'm asking you is I just want to clarify. I know the goal of the rally is to get some of these processes changed to expand the program for other people, but I think providing the resources on the part of being able to receive more participants is just as important. Because if there's not a capacity to even deliver the services efficiently and effectively, it's a disservice to whoever is going to then be available to get service to begin with. So there's not enough judges. I know you mentioned just now that you have people who say they're understaffed. Even your office is understaffed. The public service defender's office has historically been understaffed. So is there also simultaneously a movement to address increasing public defenders and addressing the judges that are inconsistent with dealing with these cases, as well as I think it just would be fruitless pursue changing legislation to open the services up to more people if you can't even deliver the services to the current people that need it right now.
Yes, so it's a great question. It's probably our most asked question. Like, there aren't enough resources in the community to handle the influx that would really make a huge impact. So we are asking for additional services or more funding to the existing providers as part of the legislation. That's part of our part of this bill, is that we want more funding. It's not just like passing a statute. And I will say that the governor actually has put her money where her mouth is on this, and she has invested a lot of money in the last couple of years. It's just now beginning to come online, so you may not really be seeing it for the next few years, but she dedicated $1 billion, and then in addition, maybe like a couple $100 million last year. So it is in the pipeline. We also, in the interim, have agreed to make it part of the eligibility criteria that judges can deny someone admission if they don't think that there's a place to put them in the community. If they don't think that there's a treatment provider that can treat their diagnosis. That was really a tough pill to swallow for us. It's a compromise that we made with the court system to make them feel more comfortable with the bill. It's hard because we're like, well, so if there's, what are you saying? Like, if we don't have treatment, or if there's like a wait list and that person just, oh, you got to go to jail. On the other hand, I mean, for the reasons that you said, just practically, we don't, we're going to set them up to fail. We're going to make the entire program look bad. And we're also, that's not fair to the providers either, who are going to end up taking more people than they really can treat. And then they're going to look bad because their staff are turning over, and then people fall through the cracks, et cetera, which is currently what's happening. So, yeah.
I'm gonna thank you, Anish. You good? Okay, so, Dawn Sanders.
Thank you so much. And my regrets that I haven't been to your meetings more frequently. I originally thought that this presentation was going to be related to discovery reform, but I'm so glad I'm here and hearing this. I wanted to know what your presenters think about the involuntary commitment direction. Do you have a stand on that? It seems like if some people were at risk of being arrested and they could be committed, would that be better? Just curious. And thank you for your presentation, Pastor Scott. Thank you for what your committee is doing, and sending a hug to Robin down the table.
Back at you, Dawn.
It's a good question. It's not exactly, it doesn't exactly relate to the treatment, not jail, but it's definitely related. And because the reality is that people who have been cycling through the jail and prison system and homelessness have at some point probably ended up in the hospital, and maybe not of their own volition. So a lot of our coalition members are opposed to what would be like, I guess, some of the governor and Mayor Adams's proposals to just like aggressively go out and sweep people and force them into hospitals for a number of reasons. But I think the most resonant reason is that it's just as short-sighted as incarcerating someone. hospitals are not equipped to really, they can stabilize somebody over the course of a week or a few weeks, and then what? Like, they're really not doing great at discharge planning either. And you end up, first of all, they're already at capacity. So I think hospitals are the first ones to say, like, you can't do this. We don't have enough beds for everybody. And in fact, many people who end up involuntarily committed are actually want treatment. They go to the hospitals voluntarily. They go to the ERs and say, help, I need help. And then they're turned away repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. So capacity is a major issue. Second is once you hospitalize someone, it's just a really off-ramping them from that kind of institution is really difficult and complicated and would involve like an extraordinary level of coordination among different agencies. It's just really hard. So, we would prefer that our leaders invested more on shoring up community-based solutions like crisis respite centers, and programs like Treatment Not Jail, that really have focus on stabilizing someone in the community where ultimately they're going to be. It's just that, our philosophy is that the person needs to live in the community, and so we might as well start there and get them what they need while they're in our communities. Sorry, but it's just like, it's a very complicated issue, as I'm sure you know.
Thank you, Casey, and Dawn, hi, and thank you very much for being here. Sandra?
Good evening. Thank you for the presentation. Happy New Year to everyone. I think my question was somewhat answered by Ms. Foster's question. It was along the lines of whether the group had done any type of needs assessment, if you will, based on your projections, if this model goes through the legislation, and based on the needs for treatment, was there any needs assessment based on what the current capacity is and what your capacity would be in order to present, yes, the need for additional funding, but was that based on any more formal needs assessment in terms of capacity?
Yes, I don't have it at my fingertips, but yes, we did. We did an impact analysis through a think tank called Recidiviz, which does a lot of criminal legal system reform data analysis. And that's where we got the figure, like the cost savings figure. But they also estimated how many people would enroll in diversion in the first few years. And beyond that, we're currently working on our budget request for this year's budget campaign. And one of our coalition members did a needs assessment for treatment providers outside of New York City over the summer and the fall. So we'll be building off of that.
But not in New York City or East Harlem in particular, because as a member
not in East Harlem in particular. For New York City, it's I hate to say this, but New York City is actually far more resourced in this field than upstate. So most of the legislators' concerns are like, how are you going to bring more services online upstate? So we focused on that, but we do have a grasp of what would be needed in New York City, and that's largely based on what was needed to get drug law reform up and running. So our New York City-based projections have really kind of just extrapolated based on what happened in 2009.
Thank you.
But we're always looking for more insight. So if you have a way to commission another study, that would be really amazing. I would love to talk to you.
So any other burning questions in the room? Sure. Want to make sure everybody's good before we leave this alone. Thank you guys very much. This is as you can imagine, in East Harlem, and just for us, all of us, period, in different parts that we go back to in Harlem and Bronx and wherever we're at. these issues are very close and near and dear to us. So, having worked at a lot of places and seen a lot of injustices, it's really, some of it is systemic and, it's hard to figure out where to point the blame and where to pull the solutions a lot of times. So we want to remain in discussion. I definitely want to be a part of those coalition meetings. Are they open to, can myself and another committee member?
Of course, we would love that. Yes. We have coalition meetings every other Thursday.
Me and Valerie going, but we're gonna make sure we bring it by. But I think it's also,
The one in the church,
yes.
that was incarcerated for
Yeah.
something years.
Yeah, so I was also thinking about, and I won't complicate this more after this, but I think there's also in this conversation about capacity, we also have to have the fair share conversations. Because when there is a production of a lot of new programs, although we do have a huge need in our community, sometimes we may, we may be seen as a dumping grounds because folks don't want to deal with certain people in the community. So we want to ensure that fair share advocacy is sort of wrapped up in these policies as well. So I think at the conceptual level, these are the times to have these conversations. So yeah, looking forward to continue to build with y'all. Cool. All right. Thank you, because I know we kept y'all from very long. All right. Thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you all.
Continuing to work with y'all.
Thank you, guys.
And
just
I'm dropping my email in the chat, and you also have Destiny's email. So yes, let's follow up after this. We'd love to continue the conversation.
Yes, and to receive the links, you just have to fill out that little short survey for the coalition in order to receive the links.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay.
Thank you for having
me.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all. You guys don't know how to. I was trying to, I'm glad that we engaged.
Who made one up?
All right, so for that taking so long, I'll be as quick as possible. I wanted to just show y'all the website that came out of the event. I wanted to just tell you that it exists. I did email it to everyone, so take your time, look at any feedback you have. But I did want to spend a few minutes more importantly talking about what else besides substance use and addiction, because this committee want to talk about and deal with in this coming year. Very, very important question for me, because I don't want us to spend, since I've been chairing this committee since 2023, I've been dealing with one issue, and I don't think it's fair to all of the other issues that, we all have been in this, we all have been suffering through one issue. We don't have to continue to do that, so I'm doing this to, increase our capacity, because a lot of this work at this point can be done offline with some presentations here and there where we can discuss and do work, because now we're sort of organizing. And I think these presenters who just came on are a good place for us to really start to think about solutions, because we're trying to propose an update to a form of advocacy that we would agree with, so we can get them while it's still fresh and really like, hey, it should have this, and as they develop it and get it passed, it'll get passed and updated at some point. At least it'll have our spirit in, and the information we wanted to have in. So, so I'm looking forward to continuing to build with them. Marlene, I'm going to share screen real quick, just so I can be really quick. And then I'll just turn it back to you all to talk about.
Your classes, how do you use this Zoom thing?
We can talk about.
I can maybe have a volunteer work with you.
Sometimes I can't hear you, can't hear me.
That's why we do it one-on-one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh. Okay, cool. Website really quickly.
Beautiful.
Again, you have it Criticisms, as an artist, I love them, so just let me know if y'all would like for me to change anything, I change a lot, but I really was thinking that we should have a place where the information that we are gathering and the work we're doing in this particular area should live, yes, Rose.
Okay, so I just have, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I would call it, but I just feel that not serving everyone, besides, like you have to be a citizen kind of thing in order for us to serve you is very inequitable, because, everyone, has human rights, right? So that's the only thing that is like a trigger to me specifically.
That's why I asked that question.
That's why we have to, that's why we have to get in there, because that's one of the big, but they said in their proposal, they would
Right.
change that. So that's one of the biggest things they changed in their proposal.
But New York City law says everybody has to be.
Yeah, but that's not their fault.
No.
They're trying to find
They're trying to change the law. Actually, they're trying to update the law. That's what pretty much their presentation was like, we need to update the law around. Drug, you know what I mean? So.
And they need a
This is not so broken.
Right, that's the role of the community, that's what we.
That's yeah.
But I'm on the same page with you, Rosa, like, damn, like, first off, she acknowledged it in the beginning, like, we cut off 85% of the people who would get it. That's why I was just like, so I'm glad when Arnice asked, like, can you say the numbers again? Cause I was just like, what? So it's just like, yeah, so no, they acknowledge it as well. So there is a huge need to. But then, you all have your own personal beliefs and perspectives, so that's why it's important that you also individually weigh in these areas and in these conversations, even not in all of them, but at least go to a few of their meetings to be able to shake up something. Maybe they was going down the wrong direction, and you could be like, hey, no.
Bring it back.
Yeah. You know what I
Upstate
mean?
jail system profits on how many people are arrested in the
Arrested.
city.
Yes.
And I like also the fact that
Rob-
transparent about the fact that
Yes.
when I was listening, like, they agree that the condition of records are not the best. This is, it doesn't take many people to recognize that, like, in a meeting like this. Because that's one of, like, what we do, like, my work, trying to get them to understand that this is wrong. This is not, human being centered and things like that. But I was listening from the beginning, I was gonna say, I'd rather work with people like this, they're pretty open. And they, and so, they're not perfect, thank God, but at least they're thinking about, they see that there's something wrong and thinking about ways we can improve the system.
I appreciated the transparency with the failure rates, because I think a lot of times there's a mask that they try to come up, like, it's great, the program is flawless, awesome, this is exactly, but they were pretty transparent, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, 100%.
He, I showed him, like, something on so.
Are you all abuse public information?
On what?
They're proposing. public information.
It should be, yeah, it should be. Yeah, definitely, it should be. I'm gonna get it, we're gonna work, cause I think we should work, we should definitely be a part of, working to help them. Because, I just said that. I have to, you know what I have to do, y'all?
What?
Isaac has to watch his mouth.
Right.
Cause sometimes I say a bit more than.
You mean?
Sometimes I say more than I should, and I don't want that to be used against me.
But I was working, if I was to somebody.
We can keep going now, y'all, so we don't have to wait something.
But never say that to somebody.
What?
Can apply to the so you take the information. And you go through the process. But as first person they can, you're not supposed to say or deny it.
You're not supposed to, but truth is,
I mean, that's how it's
people are fake, they will make you believe that you are hope when they know that they're gonna trash your application the minute you walk away.
But that, to the point, y'all making the same point, what you said in there about them in jail, I'm like, yep. You're not getting those services if the CO's not letting you, so it don't matter what, they're not.
All the people, the group that I was, when they're supposed to have information so that they can go to social service and get the health benefits they are entitled to. But on purpose, they let them leave without That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
On purpose, the parole officers, with any officer being interviewed, tells they have to be there in 20 minutes. They do everything to antagonize these people. And the cops in the neighborhood, they know, oh, I arrested that guy. Oh, they'll come and they take it again, because they know what he likes to do. Most of the people on the streets are hungry, you know what? Because they don't want to, then you come to their court appearance, then you come to their court appearance, and they know that they will go back to jail, so they let us be on the street free and go back to court. They don't want to be homeless. I don't work with Blasio, this way did with all our money for the Thrive program.
All right, website, let's go real quick so we can go through our website homepage. So I put the, the title of the event up there. I have the Human Services Committee. I wish I would have had all of you guys in one picture, but it's okay. I got enough of you guys in the picture. So we got sort of like a Human Services picture. We look good. Okay, so this is the event. And just a little bit about access to the East Harlem Community Partnership. So you can click on that link, it does take you to their website. The three main pages on our site is a page for the discussion. So everything that was presented, the discussion panels and the presentations and testimonies. The other page is just a link to all of our partners. And then on the third page, so let me really quickly take you through one. So presenters page really quickly, all of the panels are here. Yeah, so you guys have this in your, it was impressive. So you guys have this in your thing. These are the presentations that happened, people's testimonies. These were all of the people. Rose, I made a change. I paid the tax. So
That's one school, right?
yeah, so
Yeah, that's a kid.
so we-
Oh, that man, that.
You like boy Lenny went in. I was like,
Lenny.
damn, Lenny, you gonna get me kicked out the spot, Lenny.
He needs to make a non-profit program.
Yeah, he does, man. I love it. I like the bridge, man. We gotta keep them coming back. We gotta get them on our updates. CCHP, Shannon, and then we had Chloe Green and Holla, who really brought the cultural analysis, and we have also our presentation for Rights and Matters. So that's the event page. Let me take you to the partner page really quickly. Hey. If you're gonna be changing.
Beautiful smile.
So we have all our partners, and this is a link to all of our partners. So in case y'all wanted to connect with anyone, or if anyone wants to connect with anyone else, I'm also going to find a way to share people's contact. I'll talk to you all about that. I'm not but yeah, all of the orgs that were represented are here. There's a link to their place. Everybody. Okay, so last page, which is the most important page, I think, is the analysis. What came out of this event? We don't have it up yet because it's still being done. Of course, you guys are a part of assessing that. So once I have a draft for you all, I'm going to share it. I imagine this page will be fully updated by March. So over in our next meeting, we'll go through like the bullet points of. So I'm taking, let me go through the page and I'll tell y'all how we're gonna go through the analysis and y'all give me thoughts and feedback on the process. Thank you, some highlights, right? The analysis will be 4-part. There'll be a medical analysis. This is what information did we hear from this event? So essentially, from the medical analysis aspect, understanding personal and public health risk. What parts of that did we hear come out of these talks and conversations? The cultural analysis. People were very specifically speaking about the differences for Black and Indigenous people of color, especially in East Harlem. What does that mean for treatment? What did we hear? The social analysis, assessing the social economic impact of addiction on the residents and businesses here. And also the accountability analysis. Who do we sort of point that finger at? Who do we need to talk to really get some, talk to people, because folks like, oh, there's only organizations, all these organizations, nobody gives data. Perhaps we need to lean in with organizations, work with them to see how how they are producing numbers, so we can get a sense of what's happening. Maybe we can help them develop an analysis tool or an evaluative tool, so we can be able to understand their impact and give them feedback on it, because we're the community, we're representing the community. So we should not feel, we should do that, because that is actually our job, right? So outside of that, is the form that is still live. If you came to the event and you did not fill out this form, please fill out the form, because everyone's feedback will go into the analysis aspect of what we heard from people. So I'll share it back with everyone. Well, I just sent it to you guys the other day, so please just take a look at your email. So that's the website, y'all. Kept it simple. I'm trying to, is it nice? I like it.
Yeah,
Cool.
simple is beautiful.
Earlier, it's hot. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as extensive.
Yeah,
I started looking, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna take me a long time.
I'm trying to make sure we the committee to brag about, right?
I know I have a chair, right?
We're gonna know, we're not doing it for naught, so we're gonna make sure that something comes out of everything. We didn't take all that time and energy to plan this event and not have anything come out of it, so there should be a living platform. And also, I would love to build out this site to deal with all of our events in this fashion and work in this fashion. So even I work with these people trying to talk about drug course and mental health course, that could be a part of this website and has how we develop it, so my goal,
show the process.
to show some of it, here's all of the work, because people are quick to say we ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? And we're doing a lot, so we need to really show them how we're taking steps. Yes.
I seriously like this a lot.
Yes.
It's very detailed and it actually shows pictures of human beings doing the
Of different
work. Because not for nothing, the recordings that we have here, it only shows the blue screen. And for me, at least, I like to see beautiful faces of the people that are actually speaking on behalf
And it's so
of the
organized.
community. And it's so organized. It has all the businesses, that actually collaborate into the work that we put in.
And then missions.
Which is a tool for resources, right?
Yes, that was another thing. So this is a
Right.
place where we have resources. So yeah, now that that was said, come back with stuff you want to see on the site, because this is our site. Like, we'll go on it and we'll fix it and develop it. Let's do that. That is the goal. There was something else that came to my mind and left that fast, but it's okay. So I just wanted to show, playlist, huh?
You see, you're homework for us. We need to do it.
Oh yeah, that, but there's also a playlist with all of the videos from this event, so that you can share the whole, so you can watch and share all of it. So I'm gonna share that with you guys as well. So the playlist has all of the panels and it has all of these videos I saw. So we have, we have that on our YouTube channel as well. So just making sure we be thorough, you know what I mean? So people can, one of the things I've learned is that you have to be thorough, because if you don't, people will look for opportunities to sort of drag you through the mud. So we're gonna do what we gotta do. And we have a big task, so it's important that we get thorough, yes.
Can I just say that my principal, Amber Ventura, at Food and Finance High School, has already shared it out with her family.
Oh, she did? She like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, oh my God, she does not play.
okay, good, I'm glad.
So I'm like so glad, because now those families are gonna have the information and also see their kids in action of the changes that they're doing in the community.
That's good.
Okay, good, that's good. Okay, great, so. Yeah, first I was like, yeah, why are you doing this? Nah.
That's good.
We be doing a lot of those stuff. Alright, so let's on with this. We know what our assignment is here. Let's transition. No more drug talk, no more addiction stuff. None of that stuff, no more.
Marlene has her hand up.
I have my hand. I'm sorry. So, kudos to you, Isaac, and everyone who participated in the forum and also put together that website. I did take a look at it when you sent out the link. It's very beautiful. But I know at our last meeting, we had discussed probably changing the name for a more affirmative, forward-thinking name. Remember we had mentioned that, like, it was going to be, the subtext would be like addiction, addressing addiction, but it was going to be something like restorative, like restoring your life kind of thing. Are we still considering that? Because I think
Absolutely.
addiction, considering everything that you've accomplished with this one forum and everyone that participated, is so broad in restoration that I don't think it's just addiction.
Yes, 100%. That's all of that is on the chopping block. Let's come back next month and make whatever edits, send them in. Yeah, I'm not married to any of this stuff. I just want to make sure that we know where we can find the work we did, you know? That's all. So yeah, I'm with it. Whatever y'all want to add, come with real ambitious stuff. Like really, like I'm cool with it. I have no.
I thought we gave the title of Bridging Communities Together.
That was the event of the conference, the event we did, but I mean, we can.
I thought that would encompass like everything that human services does, including.
I can just
like
take
the
off,
event.
I can just take off addiction for them too, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to say that.
I mean, it was
Yeah,
more than
I agree
just-
with Rosa. I think that what you had up there is very inclusive. It's beautiful.
Bigger.
Yeah. Alright, so I'll just be like human services committee.
Yeah, bridging,
perfect.
that's what we do.
Cool. That's so perfect. Yeah, so keep those great ideas coming. Let's work on that. Alright, can we move away from this a little bit?
No.
I was trying to get us out.
That'd be nice.
All right, so could we talk about other issues that we want to see, dealt with this, year? And I say like, we are actively going to work towards like getting people in the room and really thinking about some initiatives we could, do. I want to put as much energy as we can put in addiction and that into with some other things too. I have the energy.
And I'm sure it was done in the past, because I think I saw something like that. But in the wake of what's going on in LA and what happened in the Bronx recently, I think it would be beneficial if we did a workshop teaching families how to prepare for emergencies, and things that they should have in their homes.
Emergency prepared.
Yes, a lot of people, at least in my family, we were discussing ensuring that everyone had emergency kits and things like that. And one thing that came into question was the cost. Of course, we went to Amazon and looked at it, and Amazon is great. However, me thinking, I said, we can build these things rather than buy a kit for 200 some odd dollars. We can build it for a fraction of the cost. So I think it would be great to have a workshop of that nature.
So we know that, we can work with East Harlem Co-ed because they do a lot of emergency management, emergency preparedness. They do it specifically for businesses, but we can work with them to see what sort of tailored workshops we want, and let's think about who we actually want to have them with.
Okay.
So yes, if you're willing to work with that, I do need people to champion some of this stuff with me. So if that's cool, yes, 100%. Yes, that's I saw that.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Oh, right. I knew it was to the right.
I don't know, can we talk about prevention and bring awareness around sexual assault and misconduct, And we can talk also about like sexual harassment in the workplace. And bring like organization can bring resources, and if something happening, look for the red flags, look for, if this is happening to you, you're more probably in this type of situation, and then what you need to know, make sure that reach out, like getting hands and other organization, do this and that.
So do you have an organization in mind?
My organization.
Okay, great.
And then everybody else that I work.
Oh, yeah. I remember last year, everyone here who's representing an organization, raise their hand. Yeah, so you all are on Marlene, all of them need to be on the agenda at some point to present their organization. So we can start with Robin, searching here, that cool.
Sure.
And then we can go to Anita and Marcel.
I'm working on my not-for-profit, and I need help.
Let's talk about.
Okay.
You, of course, you too. I realize the Human Services Committee is full of professionals who are doing work and nobody really knows. We present on our work. And our work presentation lasts on another show if you can figure it out. I'll probably do mine in June.
Can I also ask, because I also support Africana Corporation. And the work that we do is with first of all, is with everyone that needs help, right? And we also, like, we have people, like immigrant people that support other immigrant peoples in knowing their human rights. So can I have them, can I invite them, you know, the founder, Atama Bak, and invite her to do like a presentation and how we can, you know, make everyone aware of what to do, you know, how to support others.
Yeah. Tell me the topic again.
Know your rights.
Know your rights, just in general, know your rights.
Know your rights in general, and where to get resources, because we provide food, clothing, I mean, name it, we do it.
Well, that be, I was gonna mention, because we had talked about it last year, it was only last year, I mean, about one of the things that came up was about, you know, the influx of immigrants into the community, and of course, it's only gonna get more fraught in a week from now. And I don't know what services we can actually help bring to bear in terms of helping people who are going to need a lot of support, but I think it's
I think we should.
it's gonna be a very obvious thing, so very soon.
I think, direct service, not direct service, what am I talking about? When I what category, basic needs, supporting basic needs, let's gather, maybe we can create like let's get like, so here's some things. We need to have, and Ramen brought this up, and we need to start having like cheat sheets or small cards and pamphlets, and we have money for this as well. That have information for people, right, in different languages that can direct them to specific resources. We should have it for people, for them to have, but also for ourselves, so that when people are like, hey, I need X, Y, Z, we already know, and then you can reach out to X, Y, Z, or let me make that connection for you. So I think, developing our stationary resources is something I would like us to do. We definitely need to.
Well, certainly, as we're saying, starting with people knowing what their rights are.
What is
We're not just talking about new immigrants anymore, we're talking about people who've been here for a long time.
Basic needs, that was our immigration, basic needs, that was.
So I do have my little cheat sheet where this is how I support people sometimes in the streets. It says, I do not wish to speak with you. Or you can just say that I want to exercise my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. Or I do not give you permission to enter my home. My home, no NYPD can enter your home. They can be, you can open the door, that does not give them permission to enter your home. This is the basic things that people do not know. Do not know. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment rights. So I keep these, and you know, like obviously I'm not gonna know everything out of my hand, and I'm, oh, wait a minute, and then I'm like, okay, this is what you can say. You know, so this is my little cheat sheet, and everyone should have one of these.
So we need to like develop things like that. I'm putting people's name next to the stuff they bringing up to just,
taking names.
Holding up the gun. Thank you.
Back up. All right, Robin, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So I need to email Sandra Talabaro, who just actually asked the question.
I can get her email.
Sandra still on. Sandra, I actually have to email you about, it's in my draft section, please forgive me, I'm like way too busy for like. But I need to email you about coming to the church and presenting to our seniors there. But I wanted to, I guess one of my question I was gonna ask Robin, and I guess I could bring you into this question, was about, would it be helpful to like go set up workshops or presentations at different senior centers around some of the brain health information, or is that not useful? I don't know. I was just trying to, I guess, is, how do we get to people who are aging in place, and some people who may be in senior centers?
So if I may answer, can you hear me?
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, can you hear me, Isaac? Okay.
Yes.
So yes, so the answer to your question is yes. I wear multiple hats in the community, right? So as a member of the East Harlem Community Health Committee, I'm on the older adult subcommittee. And so we meet with all the senior centers, and I actually started sending my email to you first, and I was going to follow up. Because basically this year our lab wants to actually focus in outreaching to our community organizations to ask the question. We have these materials available in English and Spanish. Would you be interested in some of these presentations? And I was hoping that the last email that I sent you, I'd be glad to resend it to you, kind of spelling out what we have already prepared. We're actually currently in the process of working on developing a nutrition, because some of our community science partnership board members are interested in nutrition, but with the budget in mind, in terms of, working and eating healthy, but taking into account budgetary constraints and whatnot. But yes, we do have a number of presentations. We could follow up. I could resend you the last email I sent you before the holidays. I kind of took a break because I assumed you were going to be very busy. And actually today we had a big town hall meeting with the New York State Department of Health AIDS Institute. And a member of our team, Dr. Robinson Papp, made an incredible presentation on healthy aging for people with HIV. And so that took up a lot of coordination and whatnot with the AIDS Institute. But that's going to be the focus of our team for this year. Not so much recruitment, because we're on pause. So we wanted to take advantage of the materials that we have put together and share it with the community.
Thank you. Yes, Sandra, and if you don't mind resending me that email, so it's at the top, I will get that.
I have more than one of your emails. Is there anyone in particular that you prefer?
I know, right? The human services one is probably best.
Okay.
I can forward out from there. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, y'all. Yes, please, come on.
When the people from the city of Yes had their presentation, I was asking a question about the age with because it senior, because I know that it starts at 35. I asked anyway. But on the presentation, they said that the group that would be entitled to the 30% of income for the apartments, it's small writing at the top, had to come for a recommendation from DHS. And that they would advertise that it was available, and they would have up until like April or something to apply. Oh, most people are not looking for it or going to read about it. That's a little bit of a loophole also, because DHS, Department of Homeless Services, they keep people that's supposed to be 6 months, but they're there a lot longer. They get paid per person over $2,000. Anyway, HASA works with people with AIDS. Their program says that housing is only 30% of the income. Why don't we fight that every working person only pays 30% of their income? Why should only people with special needs or programs pay the 30%? Because that AMI that they use, 80%, that is up to interpretation. The federal government doesn't mandate that we use it. They don't have to use it at all. So that we don't,
So part of our committee work does overlap with housing and homelessness.
That's what I'm saying.
So we should continue this conversation so we can figure out, maybe not tonight, but we should like unpack it a little bit more, maybe if you can find some background. Let's talk about a place to start with, bringing it to us, and then let's talk about how we shape that, because we could also cross collaboration with other communities.
Well, I don't say because they would give
Yeah.
services.
Yeah, they came here and they went to, I think, land use and whatever committee was relevant to their work, they had to go to, or at least they went to, so, yeah. No, I'm with you, we're just saying, we gotta strategize some. Get clear on it. I got it written down. And I got your name next to it. Any other? Alright, so I'm gonna just recap what I heard here. So,
I just have a thought.
yes,
Back to those cards. One thing that I think is really essential is what to do if you've been a victim of a scam. Everybody has a different answer about that. And most people have no idea what to do. What would really be the most helpful thing? Do I report it to the police? Who's really gonna help me get out of this mess?
So tonight,
One that's already ongoing, not one that's already completed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once it's completed, there's not gonna be.
Right.
Anybody's gonna be able to
Right.
help it.
that's what's been happening. And that's my everyday conversation with a lot of people. Paying 1,000, paying 1,500, paying $3,000 for attorneys, quote unquote, to fill out their paperwork.
Oh, gosh, that's right. I know what you're talking about. Ooh, darn.
And then they don't pick up the phone anymore.
There goes.
There's like a famous attorney, famous immigration attorney that was caught and is currently in jail because of those scams.
Good.
Thank God it's in jail.
But that's one out of
At least you got arrested.
so many that are still out there
Alright.
claiming that they're doing asylum seekers, paperwork, but they're not.
But not only lawyers.
You know,
I work
that's
with
what I'm
clients
saying.
who are like community leaders, anybody in the community, because they don't know what it takes. What skills or requirement, the person they give $1,000, they go and take risk, work, make money, and they come, they have this paper that's filled in, and when they go to the appointment. People are coming from like different states. They register there, they come in here, you can go to Federal Plaza, but you are not in the system. When they called you there, you didn't appear because you went to New York, then you on deportation. They come and they find out that they're in the process.
They have 1 year.
And those are not lawyers.
1 year to fill out your asylum paper.
No. That's crazy, right? I look
Yeah,
at
if it's a solemn, you have.
People have one program is called Citizenship Now. It's students that are taking more classes, will help them fill out everything for free.
Many
It's
agencies
really
do that, yeah.
Citizenship Now.
Like Catholic Charities.
I know.
But they don't know, I mean, they come in, they don't speak the language, they don't know where to go, they don't,
There are so many languages that I did
Yeah,
not
when I
even
take
know.
my client, when I go to Federal Plaza with them, I have a group people around me, the minute they hear me speaking French or Lingala or whatever, they just come cry, they tell you all these stories, they tell you all these stories, and you're like, here in New York? Yeah, but I cannot help everybody, but. I mean, people are making business out of this.
I mean, educating people about the scams, that I'm sure they're out there is important.
It is, but unfortunately, once they make the presentation, there's already new ones the next day.
No, I understand. I'm well aware of that. That's the problem. I mean, you gotta teach people the capacity.
It doesn't mean they shouldn't do it.
Oh, no,
To
I
make commercials for TV,
commercials.
community boards, I mean, could we say? Come to your.
Public access.
Yeah, public announcement.
Yeah, we
Don't be
can do that.
scammed,
We can
you
do
know.
that.
I mean, we just need to talk to the staff about the form and how we promote it. I mean, we can just do that. You don't need to just record the video.
Proceed and
Just
do
put it on
anybody, they'll be asking you.
Yeah, we can like,
That's-
we can
that's
do a PSA from us and put it on our,
Oh, that's an
YouTube
amazing
channel
idea.
and share that as a video. Like, an address from the community board, hey, saying, yeah, we should do that, thank you, bro. Good idea.
That's amazing.
You can set it aside.
Because
It's gonna be the most
Their
innovative.
title, their title of the information is a language goes.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's a very good idea.
Very good idea.
Yes, sir.
Before you do any move, come to us first and see how we can direct you to get the resource.
And then have it translated also so that people are aware. Please make sure we're not attorneys. Disclosure.
Alright, so I'm gonna just recap some of the issues I've heard. Alright, so I'm gonna, we're gonna, we got it. Oh, yeah. Alright, cool. So, I heard outreach for affordable housing, improving emergency preparedness, sexual assault and sex crime awareness. More stationary resources around scamming, support of substance use and addiction, just general resources and information about knowing your rights. I also heard, brain health info for seniors. Also, immigration, basic needs, language barriers. As well as, know your rights. Board member org spotlight, that was what I put for you all. And a PSA, thank you, and a PSA. I guess just more engaging ways of telling the community information. All right, so did I capture everything?
You did. I have a question for you. If you want me to present at our next meeting, do I get 15 minutes?
Yes.
Right.
Thank
you.
If you're the county defendants. Get it out.
Do you need help creating a
So
presentation?
Robin, you are, so just recapping that, Robin, you're first, and then Anita, you're next, so that's February, March, sorry, February, March. Rosa, April.
Let's talk about that later.
You need help starting that? Wow.
Peanuts in my food. But, all right, so let's start with, section care and healing hands. So the first one, all right, presentations regarding any of these things, who can we get next month, what should we start with?
Africana, well, y'all have Africana.
Can you have it?
Yeah, especially because, of the current situation, right, the presidential,
What are they telling you in school to be prepared?
What did you say?
me in school, I'm not in school.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were.
Thank you. I thought you were in school. I support, I'm a parent leader, so I support schools, Manhattan High Schools, every single borough. But they said that they're giving a lot of support, especially counseling, we don't know what's coming.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Yeah, good.
okay, so this actually was our conversation on like the budget and, goals for the new fiscal year, so that's what we were just talking about. So we're actually done with the agenda, but I did want to know, so next month we are planning to have a presentation from Search and Care. We're also going to try to get Africana. Okay, we can do up to 3 presentations, if that's fitting for folks, so if there's another org. Well, I don't know if we have anyone on our planning document already, Marlene, that's waiting. I don't think we did, good, so we have room for another organization on top of that, so we can think about that, so maybe we can get 2 orgs in here, maybe we can get someone from the immigration place. I remember, who was the folks that came and didn't know your rights training a few years ago from immigration?
It's the mayor's office.
It's the mayor, yeah.
Yeah.
We should just reach back out to
Well,
them.
the New York County Defenders Association could probably give us a presentation on that below, because I'm sure that could tons of information.
But yeah, so I work with Marlene to find out
We,
that.
as a committee,
Yeah.
actually did try to do a Know Your Rights forum
Mm.
about 6 years ago, and we had it at Johnson Center.
Okay,
Maybe 10 people came,
okay.
maybe, but we had a person from the mayor's office on immigration affairs who was the most knowledgeable person.
You wanna take another shot at that? Ethan?
No? I don't know how you get people to come in this climate. You know what I mean?
I think we could get people to come up.
You do? Okay.
I think
I think
us,
what are we giving now?
Yes.
This group.
right, especially
This-
community leaders that would like to digest and get all these
Yeah.
questions out, so we
Yeah.
can help out, you know, because
I know maybe I didn't imply, reading into it, were you implying that people who might be interested in coming to that are not?
People who we hope to help. did
Right,
not
but they're not gonna come because they're worried about identifying themselves as actually needing to know their rights, right? So that's what I'm saying, maybe it's remote.
it was
As
fear.
opposed, right, fear, but if it's remote and there's no identification of who's actually in the room. Then it might not have the same fear factor, I'm not saying people.
No,
show
I
up,
think it
but-
also, I'll be honest, I think it was just, who was putting on there, and how it was being organized. I
Could have
think-
been.
Yeah, I think you have to, you do have to be, a lot more engaging than we were going to be to get people to come to events. I had to really do a lot of texting and individual calling to people to get them to come out. I don't normally want to do that all the time, you know what I mean? So it did take that extra lift. But also, sometimes people gotta personalize the event for the people as well, you know, so that they know, okay, this is why I should come, you know, because at the end of the day, that's what we're asking, that's the question they're gonna ask, why should I come in? So if we can find it, if we can make it an agenda that does touch on, you know, rights for, you know, first off, I think if we did it on just immigration and know your rights, we could certainly get a lot of people from the African community to the Latinx community. Even if we didn't get no English people, you know, that would fill up the room. I think it's just a matter of recruiting and going to the places and saying, hey, this is what we're doing.
And I don't wanna presume that people who are immigrants need the food, but I mean, if you assume partner with food pantries in the neighborhood, you'll find a whole bunch of people who you could connect with. Not an event, you have to have a presence.
That's another thing, yeah, we don't necessarily have to do that, we can just go places with the information if people are willing to take, or just go and be places, sometimes.
Maybe we have it at Common Pantry.
I mean, I volunteer there and trust me, from what I can tell, there's plenty of new immigrants coming through that every day.
Yeah, so I think, we should definitely work towards planting ourselves in places better, you know, and, organizing more events and not just showing up to other people's events and trying to take credit for them, get a picture and say, hey, we were a part of these events. That's not really organizing people. So maybe we can really just try to facilitate some things ourselves in the great community.
Also, I don't know if you guys are aware of Little Sisters of the Assumption.
Yes.
They do absolutely so much for the community, from education, because I've presented several times, to food, weekly food distribution, which I benefit from it at a time in my life. And their stuff is super amazing in 115 and I believe Second Avenue, Second and Third, I think it is.
Is that the church behind where the school used to be? Is that what you're talking about?
No, is it 115?
Isn't it on 116?
No, definitely 115. I think first and second maybe, first and second maybe. Yes, first and second, and they are truly amazing. Their stuff is super great. They even help with housing, legal.
They
I
did,
will.
remember, they were here.
Where?
They were here maybe about 5 months ago. But you didn't hear about this, you heard about social services.
Oh, okay, that's why, okay.
Yeah, they do a lot of social
Maybe that's
services.
And their family health arm.
Okay, okay. Well, so good, okay.
But they're
So maybe
one
they
floor.
could be, so here's another thing, we have an informational update section. Organizations like that should, be on those sections. Do you think it's something more?
LSA came to you guys.
Yeah, they did, yes.
In person.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Wow. When she said I was. So, but that's what I'm saying, some of these orgs we can have, if they're willing to be on our informational updates, so we can continue to hear from them and continue their information. So that's up to you all, with all of us, so. Any other thoughts before we adjourn? Right. The last thing I wanted to say to y'all is, how do y'all feel about having food at our meetings?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Bring food out. If there's food out. That's the only problem.
Here's what we will do, right? Here's what we will do.
You see what you did?
I'm going to, I'll find out dietary stuff from people. And then we'll figure out how to do it every month, but I'm gonna make sure that we have food every month. I would like for us to break bread while we're.
That would be
having
so
our-
nice.
I think that would help.
Yeah, I would be saying, thank you so much for thinking of that. That's true.
Is there any, Marlene, am I gonna get, in trouble for this? I'ma tell you.
It's your budget.
Alright.
Yeah.
No,
So just can't sustain it.
that's another thing, I wasn't thinking about taking committee money from it, I was going to, either. Buy
can
it,
all
have it
chip in.
sponsored, and, things like that, we're like, I feel like we can get food every month.
Right,
But
that's
the
not,
first-
nobody's stopping you. What I'm saying is that the office budget can sustain it for your committee. That's what I,
Okay, yeah, we're gonna make it,
yeah, so you
we'll make that.
would have to, that's completely on
No
your.
problem. I just wanted to know if everyone's okay with eating.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
There's definitely a lot of
We
food
will be even
facilities
more productive.
that will
Yeah.
now to sponsor community board and our amazing work.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so with that, if there are,
What
is there
note
any
to end
new
on.
business?
Attendance is going to increase.
You know what?
That's good,
Yes.
And I know, maybe we get some of our presenters to be in person too,
Yeah, the one always wants to talk about the congestion price.
Same.
Sage. Is he on this committee? or-
No, he's on that committee.
no.
We're gonna be with him tomorrow. Alita, we're gonna be with him tomorrow. Alita, we're gonna be with him tomorrow.
Is that affecting anybody in this?
I know I'm gonna be.
It's gonna affect almost everybody, but they just stay in town.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, because I think I am, because
You are with
Yeah.
that committee.
yeah, that one.
Which committee?
But of course you
Youth and education. Youth and education. Oh, just something.
What about youth
and education?
Hold in, I can exchange.
That's Xavier.
I don't think Ash wants to
Asher
hear
was
this.
speaking, I think I heard
Asher.
Asher.
Yeah, Ash is saying, what's up, Ash?
No, I heard something about youth and education. Is there something you're bringing to us tomorrow?
A lot of love.
Absence. I'll be there tomorrow. Ash, I'll see you tomorrow. Alright,
Going.
Las Vegas. All right. So
For work.
oh,
I really travel for fun.
alright, so I'm
That's
going.
why I'm not that excited. No, because when I travel, it's just so much work. It's more work for me. Exactly.
Alright, yeah, so, any other burning parts before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I will set, here we go,
Roll call.
yes, let's-
Or not recognized.
yeah, so let's do roll call so that we can get everyone who, wasn't on the first roll call recognized for this meeting.
Mark Patrici,
Present.
Marcel Lundin, present. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Arlene, Foster Hernandez.
Present.
Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Valerie Ponte,
President.
Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
One second, did you fill out the QD form?
Yeah, a long time ago. It should be on record. I filled it out about 3 times.
Okay, my question to you is, does it say, did you fill out the one that says the disability is permanent or not permanent?
I filled out the one that said it was permanent.
Isaac Scott,
Oh, I'm here.
Robert Strayson.
Present.
And Alita Teaching Booth. Thanks.
All right, y'all, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for,
Asher.
Guys.
8:16. Asher. Asher.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just curiosity, is that school presenting tomorrow to the education?